all again, and welcome to the show that just keeps making you smile over and over again. Welcome to the Sports Box, where the only opinion that matters. That's right, Brian. Here it goes. It's right here, baby.
You almost got me in the head there.
I almost did. One of these days, you're gonna have a concussion. You go through the protocol.
I might need this helmet.
Yeah, there you go. I am Mike Coletta, a.k.a. Hamilton Mike, along with my partner Brian, the Ranger at Heart, bringing you another solid special we call Cleaning Up the Mess. Today, we're going to talk about yesterday's game, which actually was a pretty good game. New Orleans got behind a little early, had to struggle to get back into it, but unfortunately lost by 3 points against the Carolina Panthers. So, who do we go to? Our man for the New Orleans Saints. Let's bring him back on the show, James Primeaux. James, thanks for getting back on the show.
Oh, not a problem. Glad to be back.
Absolutely. We love talking Saints, don't we, Brian?
Absolutely. We've talked about them a lot in our fantasy.
Yes, we
not for the right reasons.
Yes, yes, we do. So, James, let's open it up by saying, like we said in the pregame when we started the show, the Saints struggled early to get back into this game, and they came on a little late. Defense actually played pretty well. Running back issue seems to still be a problem out there. You got Hightower they're trying to get carries to, and Ingram they're trying to get carries to. What do you see in the running attack for the Saints? Are they going to figure this out, or is it going to be like this the rest of the year?
Honestly, I see it going to be like this for the rest of the year. The running game just isn't there like they want it to. I don't see any answers. Tim Hightower, he's up there in age. Mark Ingram just hasn't performed as a first-round pick, in my opinion. But I just don't see the fix out there.
Okay.
Yeah, you bring it up, James, about, Hightower and Ingram. And, a lot of people were very high on Mark Ingram coming into this season. And, Tim Hightower, while he did play a small role with the team last year, really has come out of nowhere to be, frankly, pretty fantasy relevant for those fantasy players that are out there. But, Hightower goes for 12 carries, 69 yards. Ingram only had 7 for 28, but did catch a couple of passes. So did Hightower. Ingram was taken in the first round. And what exactly is Sean Payton's issue with Mark Ingram? It just seems like he's looking for reasons not to give the man the ball and rely more on Tim Hightower. Is there any kind of color that you can give on what's going on with the running game?
Well, he has not been reliable at all. I mean, going back to his rookie season, there was no reliability there, and he can't seem to prove himself. As far as I've seen, I have not seen him have a consistent year, a consistent 2 weeks even. I actually physically dropped him in my fantasy leagues because you never know if you're going to have a hit or miss game with him.
Yeah.
If the Saints fans dropping Ingram, I think that's
that's a telltale sign right there.
Yeah.
And you talk about the passing game, and you love to talk about the Saints. You love to talk about Drew Brees. Every year we like to say that Drew Brees is getting up there. But he actually played pretty well yesterday for the older quarterback in the league, veteran that he is. Spread the ball around pretty nice. Got the ball out to Michael Thomas, the rookie. Snead actually caught 4 passes for 33 yards. Fleener caught a touchdown. And he's got a young receiving corps. Do you see in the upcoming years, or even at the end of this year, Brees maybe tailing off a little bit? Because he's throwing a lot of passes. He really is.
Honestly, I thought it was going to be this year. Looking at it, they're saying that he's playing better this year than he has ever, really. It's everything that I've heard down here. They're saying he's playing better than he ever has, which if he would have had, I'm not sure what his QBR was, but if it would have been QBR of 100 or above again, then that would be the 6th game in a row, which I think is actually a record. But he only got 5 because I'm sure his QBR was not 100.
James, we talk a lot about, and I mentioned earlier in the show, about the Saints' defense, mostly on our fantasy segments. And we look at them as a matchup where you want to start the players going up against the Saints defense. And I remember back to when we previewed the Saints this year, I think you were pretty bullish on them. I think you might have had them at 9-7, maybe winning the division, but we all agreed that their defense was going to be a sticking point. I guess, Mike, to your point about Brees, I don't know that Brees is necessarily their biggest problem. I think he's actually the one thing that's going right with this team. I don't think they need to worry too much about that, but is there any doubt at all in your mind, James, that this team is going to go heavy defense in the draft this year? Because every year it just seems like they rely on Drew Brees to throw for 5,000 yards, and they don't really care a lot about the defense. And again, Brees is getting up there in age. How long can he do this? Do you need to just really go heavy on the defense.
And that's the worst part about it. If you go back and look at draft history since 2009 or 2009 draft, they have gone pretty heavy defense. Usually first or second round has always been a defense player, and most of the draft has been defensive players.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Mickey Loomis and Sean Payton or their scouts or whatever aren't doing their job, but they're just not getting the quality that they should be.
You know, we talk about the defense. The defense last night, actually, for a little while in the game, played well. I think another sticking point to see how the Saints are playing is when the Carolina Panthers went to kick a field goal. Vaccaro comes in with a dumb play, gets a roughing the kicker call, keeps the drive going. They did kick a field goal on that, but then later in the game, the Saints kick a field goal. It's blocked. Carolina runs down, and with a pushing it back on the kicker, they bring the ball back. But we had talked about it before, James. The special teams last night actually killed the Saints, I think, more than the defense did.
And that's my thing. I mean, the defense is actually starting on the up and up. Yeah. If I'm correct, they got Sheldon Rankins back, or should be getting him back pretty quick. I'm not sure. I didn't get to watch the game last night.
Yeah, he did play last night for 5 tackles. He had
But I'm not sure. But the defense is actually starting to take a step back up, and the defense goes up, special teams goes down. I have no answers.
I mean, the one nice thing I'll say really about both teams in this game is, we've seen some really god-awful ugly jerseys on Thursday nights. I got to tell you, I felt these two were two of the nicer looking ones. And if the Saints go all white every game, I don't think anyone's going to be upset about that. But
those were some. I saw the jerseys that they were playing. I'm like, good Lord, why can't they just play in regular jerseys?
Yeah, it's all marketing, right?
It's all about marketing.
At least the Saints jersey was mostly white.
That's right.
Yeah. Exactly. And my last point, James, is, you talk about defense again with the secondary that they have. They got an aging Roman Harper. I know they have him back there for veteran leadership. You brought in Nick Farley. You got Jarius Byrd back there. You got a lot of high-priced ticket guys back there. So, in your opinion, and I think I'm speaking for Brian as well, when you go defense this year, you're going to have to do something one at a time. In other words, you can't just go all defense. You got to build that secondary first a little bit, then you build the defensive line. But then you look at the offensive line, and they need a little bit of work too. So I think in the draft, you agree that they got to go secondary first. I think, and then you build the D line.
I can see secondary, but I could also see if a decent quarterback comes up, then picking up a quarterback, because Brees' contract can be voided in 2017.
Yeah, they have to draft a quarterback this year. There's no doubt about it. Sometime in the draft, they have to get something.
That's something that they really have to think about is what are they going to do when Brees retires?
Yep, absolutely. I agree.
So I could see them, if there's a quarterback that they think is worth it, which Sean Payton would be the one to know. And I could see them picking up a quarterback first round. But knowing Payton, he'll pick up a later round quarterback and turn him into a star again.
Well, Brees' cap number is, I think they're on the hook for a lot of money there. Kind of a similar situation to the Cowboys and Tony Romo. Brees is signed through 2020. I mean, his cap number starts to decrease towards the back end of that. But, again, for them to go try to cut him, I mean, they are going to hit themselves with a pretty big problem there. I don't know that necessarily they're going to be able to. I mean, they're going to. I think they're on the short end here.
The crazy thing about his salary, about his contract is, I had to research this because there's never been a contract like this before in the NFL. His contract is good through 2017 and automatically voids unless there's a mutual agreement. Automatically voids unless there's a mutual agreement for him to stay on the team.
Really?
Oh wow.
That's news to me. I'll give you credit there.
See, I think Drew Brees is a victim, and New Orleans is a victim of. He's been there so long. He's been done a lot for the community, done a lot for that team. To get rid of him at this point in his career is kind of a PR hit. But you know what? At some time, like you said, James, you're going to have to swallow it. You're going to have to move on and go in a different direction and rebuild this team because you can't keep putting Band-Aids on something that needs to start getting rebuilt.
And I really think that it's not just getting rid of him as a PR hit. honestly, the Saints drafts, they've been mid-range drafts the last several years.
They got to hit a home
You're
run.
not gonna find a decent quarterback by then. So they have to stay relevant. They've got to keep Brees for now until they can find a decent quarterback.
Yeah. Well, like we said, we got to draft a quarterback this year.
But he's not the problem in New Orleans.
No,
I mean,
he's
that's
not.
the thing. I mean,
No.
If he's going to hang around a couple more years and you're going to deal with the cap hit, I mean, they got other problems to worry about. Trust me, he's not. He is not the reason they're 4-6.
No, their problem is a mixed bag that they have Brees throwing so much during a game because their defense can't stop anybody, and that's the issue. It's been like that for a bunch of years now, and like Brian said earlier, when's it going to end? I mean, you can't have Brees throwing 5,000 yards into his 40s. I mean, that's crazy to ask a quarterback to do that. So we both agree, and I think you do too, James. This Saints team really has to concentrate in the offseason about some defense and getting some push to the quarterback to move him around a little bit. I mean, they really got to do a rebuild on that defense and stop some people.
Quit spending money on players that are past their prime, too.
I agree.
We talk about cleaning up the mess. I think the Saints cap might be the biggest mess of all. It needs to be cleaned up over the summer.
Yeah, and unfortunately, James, on our shows, we've picked a lot against the Saints because of their defense, but you know what?
I pick against them. Fantasy football,
I don't feel bad.
I actually play players that are playing against the Saints.
Yeah, a lot of talent. They just got to use it. So, well, that's all the time we have for cleaning up the mess this week. We want to thank James Primeaux, our New Orleans Saints guy, to come on talk about a little bit of Saints. James, we appreciate it always, pal.
Oh man, it was awesome. I'll be glad to come back anytime.
Attaboy, we love Saints fans. We love all fans here at the Sports Box. We always have good stuff coming.
And of course, if you're looking for that good stuff, it's all over any social media that you want. Whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, whether it's YouTube, whatever it is, you can find us. Make sure that you do.
And even down in Louisiana, you can get us because at the Sports Box, the only opinion that matters is right here. Thanks for watching, folks. See ya.
Don't forget to subscribe.